Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April 15th Raw Review. The North Carolina edition, as I'm calling it. Not my title, but I'm calling it this. What do we get with this crowd? I think maybe I've become a little fickle because of what happened in New Jersey. Because it was obvious that in New Jersey, last week, we got Bizarro World on our hands. It was so epic to hear that crowd. It was wonderful to hear a crowd that wasn't full of canned heat. Everything you heard there was from the crowd. And even when they tried to pump in canned heat to make it interesting, they could not do it because the crowd was too overwhelming. In this case, the crowd to me felt underwhelming. And I'm saying it really honestly. There were a few moments they popped, but I really am a little confused about, are those pops from the crowd or was it from canned heat? Because when you look at the crowd, there were some cheers. But when the WWE panned the crowd, you can obviously see there was almost no interest. I felt this show had no energy because the crowd was not into it. There were some moments that they weren't into it, and I'm telling you they weren't into it. But others, it was like it was dead silence, and they had no choice but to pump in canned heat. And obviously, I'm going to be honest, I can't tell the difference right now. Because I felt I was so... Maybe I've become biased now because of what happened in Jersey last week. To actually hear a really enthusiastic crowd. And then go to another crowd which obviously didn't give a shit in many cases. It was so bad. I really felt hearing the voices and the screaming, and then seeing the crowd when there was almost no expression on their faces or not even waving. I realized there had to be some really good canned heat in there to try and pump it up, but then the WWE didn't put enough in. And I'm glad they didn't, because I just feel like it made sense that I'm not losing my mind. So let's get on with this. First thing I'm going to get rid of are the mid-card and undercard championships, and Tony and Wade Barrett. I'm going to do Wade Barrett first. Ow, sorry. Oh, that hurt. I'm going to say about Wade Barrett. He loses at WrestleMania to The Miz. The next day he gets his championship back. And then on a SmackDown, he beats a Santino Marella. But then he loses to an R-Truth. I don't understand what they're doing with Wade. I can't say that R-Truth is a bad talent. He's not. He was once a U.S. champion. He had a good character. When he turned from a face to a heel, he was damn cool. And nobody can take that away from him. But now it's like they let him go right back to the way it was before. He doesn't do the little Jimmy bit much anymore unless you're going to be looking at Raw Active or the WWE app, or you're going to look at something on the internet and look at NXT or Superstars, whatever else type of show they throw him on. But on the main shows of SmackDown and Raw, you barely see him. This is the first time we've seen him in a long time in a match. So I didn't even feel like this was a credible thing. I mean, I like R-Truth, he's not bad. But seeing him go against Wade and then winning, what do we get? Particularly now that we're going to get something that should have been presented either on this Raw or the next Raw. Since next Raw is supposed to be in London, I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong. Next week, they're going into the UK, from what I understand. The WWE could not have the balls, instead of throwing a 10-man battle royal on a SmackDown show in the UK or a Raw in the UK, they decided to put it on Ion Television Wednesday. This Wednesday we're going to be seeing it. And we'll find out who, if I understand correctly, please tell me below. Wade will not be contesting his championship there on he will be contesting it on Raw. If I understand, they're going to be in there for at least a couple of weeks. Why not do it there? Couldn't they do a SmackDown? If they're doing SmackDown in England, they could do a, this SmackDown. They could have done the Battle Royal. And then Raw, they could have had the IC Championship. At least then it would make sense. Or even for goodness sake, Jiminy Crickets, you could have actually done the Battle Royal on Raw in the UK and people will eat it up. And then if they're staying that entire 2 weeks, if they're doing 2 weeks, and just go to another place in England, which they usually do, the next week, then Wade could actually have an actual good match with someone. But no, they're doing it like this. It doesn't even matter how the match really went down. When I saw R-Truth, I said, there's something going on here. They're not going to just let him job. And if they do, what does this mean anyway? I thought after what happened with Santino, Wade was like this. And now what's going to happen with R-Truth, and he will be in the Battle Royal, it becomes even more irrelevant. I mean, if the Battle Royal is good, which a lot of people are not going to be looking at I all the time. They don't. There's too many shows to watch, just like I say. And it's not on the B show or the A show. That's like the D show or the C show. It makes no sense. It would have been more interesting to have this on a Raw, not on I. So I'm moving on. Next, Antonio Vazzato against Kofi Kingston. Okay. Kofi won. Anybody care? No. Last week, Kofi won on SmackDown. That gave him this match this week. Nobody cheered for Kofi. No one cheered for Antonio Vazzato. Antonio had held that title for 242 days. And nobody in their right mind in the WWE was not willing to try and highlight that. It was passing conversation between JBL and Michael Cole. I feel so sorry for Antonio. I mean, it's good that Antonio no longer has that title unless they're going to have him do a rematch and he reclaims it like a Wade Barrett. But if they're going to finally move him on to something better, fine. I'm happy with it. Let Kofi have it. He's stuck where he's stuck. I've said this before, and I did a Kofi Kingston video, not connecting it here. Kofi needs to simply either push them to push him or leave the company because he's not going anywhere. He's just a loss. He's the only mid-carder they have to put in either title, US or IC Championship. And that is so sad. I feel sorry for Kofi. He didn't gain anything by winning that championship. Nothing. Antonio may stand a better chance without that championship belt than he would with it. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what's going on between Booker T and Teddy Long. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I said this almost a year ago when it was dealing with Teddy, with Eve, and with Booker T, particularly when Booker T took over and then put Eve as his secretary. I felt that sooner or later Teddy and Eve was going to have a conflict. And then eventually there's going to be a conflict between Teddy and Booker T because of Eve. Eve, I thought, was going to be a catalyst to cause Teddy and Booker T to have a conflict, and then Teddy would be gone, and then it would be Eve, and then she would try to become the head of SmackDown. But Eve left. So I thought it would be better that Teddy turned heel. So now they're continuing what I thought what would happen with the Eve Torres as a catalyst. A conflict between these two men. The question here is Teddy going to turn heel or not? That's not the question. The question is, are they going to push this all the way to the top? There's no way of knowing if they're going to do this because they teased this with an Eve. They teased it with Eve and Teddy Long. And then they dropped it with Eve and a Teddy Long. And it never went anywhere. Never. So the question is the WWE going to actually do this? Are they actually going to give us a real conflict between a general manager and a Booker T and a Teddy Long, who obviously may turn heel, but then if he's going to turn heel, he's going to need muscle. And I've already said this clearly. The best muscle he could have is a man he once managed in a Mark motherfucking Henry. Yeah, that's right, baby. Mark Henry would be the best person for him to manage. He dealt with him before. Mark Henry's a very strong heel right now, even though what's going on with him and Sheamus, and I'll explain that in a minute, what my feelings are, but you understand what I'm saying. Mark Henry is the best person for him to work with. The question is, are they going to do that with a Mark Henry? Are they going to push a Teddy as a full heel, or are they going to drop this eventually and either get rid of Teddy, or something's going to happen, they're going to get rid of Booker T, and then Teddy takes over again? I'm hoping to have a conflict and they keep Booker T where he is, because he's doing very well as a general manager. Let him have a conflict in his administration. Then let him get rid of a Teddy Long, where he'll start having a conflict with him, where he's got to stick people against one another, fighting one guy against another, as both a manager and a general manager are at odds with each other. That's what I'm hoping for. But like I said, it's going to be a question. We're going to push it. Now, since I brought up Mark Henry and a Sheamus, let's get to it. When we see the opening of the show, I was very disappointed, because I knew about this last week, and I thought, why didn't they do this at Extreme Rules? Why? Later we get that explanation, but we get the match. This was one of the few times, I believe, there was a certain amount of enthusiasm from the crowd. But I still believe, and you can tell me below, I do believe there was a large chunk of canned heat. I do not believe this North Carolina crowd was very active. They were dead. I really believe that. And the one who wins here over a Big Show is a Randy Orton. So it is obvious that Randy Orton will be having a conflict with a Big Show, which I'm not a problem with. I have no problem. I want to see a Randy Orton and a Big Show feud. Even though Randy Orton's better as a heel, the point is that it's something we haven't seen in a long time or ever. As far as I know, we've had the Big Show and Randy Orton. They've feuded from time to time, but generally they don't. So seeing this won't be a problem for me. I want to see this. But what I believe what Michael Cole had stated after the interview with the Sheamus getting speared into a wall by a wonderful, the strong, the cock diesel, oh, Mark Henry, this is what I do, into a wall. Michael Cole said it best. I don't know why he's doing this. I've said this before. I said this when this first came up, when Sheamus said, I did what I did because I got heart. Nothing can stop me with my heart. And then a Mark Henry came at him and kicked his ass. This is what the problem is. And when the commentary team does not try to put this over and say, oh, it's got to be about the feud they had a long time ago. Oh, Mark Henry wants to go after someone more credible. No. They say, what the hell's going on? This is how weak this has started. Instead of letting Mark Henry say something to explain himself, they keep letting him attack a Sheamus. And that destroys what credibility this feud could have. People wanted to see a Mark Henry and a Sheamus feud when he had the title, but a Mark Henry got hurt. Now Mark Henry can't get the title from a Sheamus because he doesn't have it anymore. My hopes is that Mark Henry will try and get back into the title picture, and he will go for it in 2013. There's still a long ways to go before the end of the year, so he could still go for it. So he's got to have something to do. But here's the problem. You got to structure it right. Him attacking a Sheamus because he says, the reason I did so well is because I had heart, and not explain it, or anyone say that the feud they had before was totally untouched, really tells me they do not know what they're doing. And if your commentary team does not try to put over a Mark Henry to destroy a Sheamus, it's just weak. I want to see this feud, but they got to let Mark Henry talk. Or they got to reinforce what Mark Henry's doing and stop saying, you know what the hell is going on? Who cares? He is destroying Mark Henry. We got to be into this. And I know a couple of people say that JBL tried to do that. Yes, he did. But the problem is this. There are two other commentators that have not agreed with him. So even though I believe the best commentator that is there is a JBL, and I do like Jerry the King, don't get me wrong, and Michael Cole, as I said before, is only for information. He's not good like he used to be when it came to really color commentating. He just tells information now. So that's how I feel about that. Now, let's get this done. 3MB got mad from last week when the Shield kicked their asses. So they decided to call out the Shield and say, we are the best three-man band, baby. I said it before and I say it again. Heath Slater is one of the worst talents they have. But when you put it all together, he's not great on the mic. He doesn't have a great physique. He doesn't have in-ring work very good. He doesn't have in-ring presence very good. But when you add this all together with a other group of people, one of them are Drew McIntyre, who is the best talent they have. If they were allowed to do the job right, they would have gotten over. But they've been buried. So 3MB is basically nothing right now. But it was interesting to be giving them a segment. And I thought maybe the Shield may come out. But a Brock Lesnar comes out? Oh, I feel sorry for Heath Slater. That's the reason why I brought him in. Because he didn't get F5 once. He didn't get F5 twice. He got F5 twice. And he got slammed once. And then clothesline once. He got his ass laid out. So I felt sorry for him. That's why I brought him up first. And then Jinder Mahal, of course, he's not much. He got his ass laid out. And then it came to a Drew McIntyre, who I feel so sorry for. The man deserves to get pushed. And he gets a nasty F5. My leg hurts, sorry. He gets a nasty F5 to the face. Boom. Nasty. But when a Paul Heyman came out, and he said, you know what? Brock got beat. If you were here, Triple H, I would shake your hand and say you're a better man than I thought you were. But Brock doesn't want to give up that easily. He wants a rematch at Extreme Rules in an old style, old school steel cage. Okay. I may still be interested in this feud. Not much, but I'm interested. Seeing Brock Lesnar in a steel cage with a Triple H, it's no Hell in a Cell, but hell, I'll take it. It's something. It's something better than what we've been offered in the last couple of months. I mean, of course, we've been stuck with the John Cena thing, so it isn't 100% going to be bad. The match they had wasn't the baddest match of the night in WrestleMania 29. I believe it was the second best match of the night. Really. That's how I felt about it. And that will lead me into the next thing after I finish this. But I can tell you this. If they structure this in the next couple of weeks before Extreme Rules, I may get invested in this. But it's going to count on how much they're going to show Brock Lesnar and if they put him in a match. I would be more interested if they let Brock do one match before Extreme Rules, like a tuna match, to make it interesting. I would be interested then. I know they're not going to let Triple H do a match, okay, but Extreme Rules, I really want to see Brock Lesnar have at least one match. Now, going into the Undertaker part that I want to talk about. I'm very upset about the Undertaker. Because when they were presenting Hell No with, what do we got again? The primetime players. I was upset last week with SmackDown. I'm upset again with Raw. They couldn't throw the Usos at Hell No. At least that would have been something different. Hell, throw a Justin Gabriel with a Tyson Kidd at them. The same people at the same time, the same moves, boring. And I was bored of it until I heard what was going to happen next week and got me mad. That would be in the UK. It got me very angry. And I'm not trying to take this away from the UK crowd. Anyone from the UK, dudes, I can understand. You get that. I'm happy for you. But this would have been better at Extreme Rules. I want to see Undertaker talk. I want to see him talk with his brother. I want to see him try and do something with the Shield. But what did we get? We're going to get a 6-man tag. Hell no with the Undertaker. The Brothers of Destruction with Daniel Bryan. With the Shield. I was hoping they wouldn't do this. And now they're going to do it. And it's stupid. I said this in my last review. When I saw what was going on when they did a Triple H. And I said, who are they going to have the Shield go up against? Who knows? Is it going to be The Undertaker? Is it going to be Triple H? Is it going to be a Brock Lesnar? I didn't know at that time. But I was worried, even though I didn't state it much, that they would be stupid enough to try and do this before an Extreme Rules. I actually said that on my Raw review that week. And now they're going to do it. What is wrong with you, WWE? What is wrong with you? If The Undertaker is going to do a short program, why don't you make it special? Why are you rushing this? Unless The Undertaker said, I can't do Extreme Rules. I got to do this now. I would understand this 100%. But if he did not state this, and this is a call on either Triple H or on the wonderful Vincent Kennedy McMahon, he did a stupid call. You use your A player at your shows. You do not do it on television. You do it on your pay-per-view shows, ladies and gentlemen. You don't do this. And I'm very disappointed. I want to see this at a pay-per-view. I want to see the great Undertaker talk. But this? Are you serious? It's pissed me off. If they're going to redo this again, I'm going to get mad. The Undertaker doesn't deserve to be mistreated this way. And it makes me angry. Now, let's move on. I got that out. Feel better. Okay, the next thing. I'm going to get the Divas over with. Kaitlyn versus Nikki Bella. And I believe Nikki's the taller one between her and Brie. What is this? I think there's going to be some twin magic when it comes to the championship. I believe that, I guess, because the Bella twins came back, they want to reward them for being willing to come back and give one of them the title. Look, I don't hate the Bella twins. I said before I didn't believe they were great talents. I don't disrespect their... Look, they care about the business. They love the business. And I've said this before. But you got to admit that the Bella twins are not the greatest talents. Yes, they have ability. And yes, the WWE limits their ability. But there are other people on the roster that has less time than them and shows more ability. Namely a Naomi. Namely a Layla. Even Natalya has better talent. And they have been giving it the worst gimmicks, including the fucking farting gimmick. But you could tell that even with a Natalya, she has more a charisma and even more ability than a Brie and Nikki Bella. And I'm not taking away that they don't love the business and they do their best. But they're just not that great. And seeing that twin magic was used on Kaitlyn, I was not even interested in this match. Because I knew that one of them was going to win. I was going to be honest. I didn't think they were going to lose. And when I saw both of them come down to the ring, I knew that both of them were going to do something, and they did. So probably by Extreme Rules, if they even put it on the card, probably do it beforehand, we'll see a Nikki Bella win the title. What does that mean? Nothing. I'm sorry, it doesn't. If anyone who's a Bella twin favorite for Nikki or Brie Bella, just understand, I'm seeing it for what it is. A Naomi who just dances her ass around with a big ass woman, big ass legs and big ass, has more charisma than them. A Natalya, even though she's walking down with a great Khali, is still more interesting than a Nikki or Brie Bella. I'm sorry, it's just there. I'm not saying they're not beautiful women, but you can't deny that. Hell, a Layla, who has been a multiple-time champion, is way more interesting than a Nikki and Brie Bella. And I don't understand why she was not pushed after WrestleMania 29. Now we have a Nikki. Unless she's not there right now because either she's been released or she got hurt, tell me below. I haven't checked. As far as I know, she's still on the roster right now. But if she's on the roster and she's going to Superstars and she's going to NXT and she's going to Eye on Television, why the fuck isn't she the one who's supposed to be challenging a Caitlyn because they teased it before WrestleMania 29? There's no consistency. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about, there's not much left to talk about, will be, you know what, I'm going to save that for last. Yeah, I am. The Cena and Ryback segment. Got two more things after this. But the Cena and Ryback segment. I was bored of Cena. I was. The crowd, I'm surprised, was cheering for him unless that was canned heat. I really believe it was canned heat. There were some people cheering for him, but I really felt that was mainly canned heat. There was almost no interest in that crowd. Not for Ryback. Are you kidding me? Ryback should at least got some boos. But there wasn't no pops or no boos for Ryback. So I'm telling you, that crowd was dead. And the segment for Ryback, when he did it on the Titantron, at first it was boring. At the very beginning, it just didn't feel right until they started showing the video packages while he was talking, and then it became more investing. Seeing that he said clearly, I've been there for John Cena. I've been attacked 6 times. I've been there for John Cena 3 times. When has John Cena been with me? 0. He has fucked me over even when he said he was in my corner. I'm in his shadow. I don't want that no more. So that's the reason why I fucked him over. And that's why I gave him the fucking shit. Like that. Sorry for the cursing, but in this case, that's what it is. By the time it went to the ring, what did we get? John Cena talking and no talking from Ryback. And the way that it was ending, I had a bad feeling about this. I had a feeling that Ryback was going to walk away. Like he was going to back off. And he did. Then the Shield comes down to kick John Cena's ass, which was okay. And Ryback walks away that way. I felt that the problem here isn't that the Shield kicked John Cena's butt. And Ryback walked away after the Shield beat him up. John Cena. And Ryback walks away afterward. I feel that Ryback has never walked away from no one. Nobody. It would have been better to let Ryback stay in the ring with John Cena, lay his ass out again, then walk away. Then let the Shield eat John Cena's ass. Watch from where he was like he was before, and then leave. That just didn't feel right. I felt that they really messed up the Ryback character in that one little respect. Ryback never walked away from a CM Punk. He never walked away from the Shield. He never walked away, definitely, from a Mark Henry. Mark Henry was the one who walked away. And they still have not presented Ryback, in my feeling, as a heel. It doesn't feel like it. He still feels like a face. So, to me, they messed up with this. I feel like they just made a major mistake with the Ryback character right now. Does this mean this won't still work out? It probably will. But to me, it just didn't feel right to see Ryback having to back off. Now, the second to last will be Dolph versus First ADR. Didn't happen. Just to let you know, I'm sorry this is running a bit late. I really feel like I need to say all this. Tell me below if you think I'm making these videos way too long. So let me get back to this. The opening of the show, I really felt that... No, opening for a Dolph Ziggler, I'm sorry. The video package they showed was like trying to really exonerate Dolph. And the only thing you need to do is just let him talk. and not have anyone interfere with him. But they didn't do it again. ADR coming out saying he wants to do his rematch now. Felt like it wasn't going to go anywhere, and it didn't. When Zed came down, he made a nice touch saying basically you didn't get anywhere. It was because of the trucker. He didn't say the trucker, I say it. It was the trucker who made sure that you won. And then the trucker basically tries to kick the ass ADR. Jack does not do well. The trucker gets his ass kicked, and then the trucker basically grabs that ankle, grabs that leg, and messes it up. So there was no match. Later, we finally get a match between Jack and Dolph. And Dolph loses clean. No interference by Biggie Langston. No interference by AJ. Nothing. I would have expected at least try and do some interference. And there was none. This just iterates, if I'm pronouncing it right, what I said in my title for SmackDown. The champ is a prop. The world champ is nothing but a prop. Dolph is only a prop to get other people over. That championship is nothing around his waist. And I feel sorry for him. He's a good talent. Unless they're about to turn him face when he loses his title, if he stays a heel, I would say, Dolph, you need to leave the company. There is no point. Like basic Kofi Kingston, leave. There's no point in it. It's sad. So I'm going to leave it at that. The final thing is, that's going to be in my title, What's Up with CM Punk? I think this is the most interesting thing of the night. Oh, I think I forgot. I think I said about Fandango. I'll just bring my thoughts on that in a minute. But with CM Punk, we don't know what he's going to do. This is actually a nice twist with him. And he basically talks about taking the Undertaker to the limit. I'm actually quite surprised about this. It was actually nice to see him give a hug to Paul and walk out. So what does this mean? This means that we're going to get something interesting, possibly not that interesting. It's probably going to be a face turn. But at least they're doing it in a different way, other than what he's used to. Now, just to make sure that Fandango wasn't mentioned, they did do the Fandango segment. The Fandango didn't really get over that much. There was barely any cheering. There was barely any That did not happen much. So that was not good. The crowd sucked. My feelings about this, I'm going to give this a B-. I really wanted to give this a C+, but there were a few things that were done decently well, but I'm going to give this a C-. No. I feel the crowd really brought it down for me. C+. Should I be that cruel to it? No. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the description, the actual grade. And I'm saying B-. I can't bring it down that much, even though the crowd sucked. So I'm sorry about this video being so long. And I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. And this was a crazy show. And if anyone knows about what happened in Boston, please give your heart thoughts and your prayers to the people there that have been killed. Let's just hope they find the person or persons that done it. And let's just hope people will be alright. I did see it. I did a video on it. Just give your prayers to the people there, okay? They do need it. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.